This conference will now be recorded.
All right. Anyone, any questions, guys, before we can get started? Anyone, any questions from the ARM? Did you all try the ARM? Any doubts there? Did you all try copy indexes there? Is it working out for you all? Any questions that I can answer here? Anyone, anything? Yes, go ahead, please. That is something that you have to answer me. How a container is created is something that you will have to answer me right now. What is the error that you're getting when you create a container? Now, that's the assignment that I was actually going to give. Thanks for reminding me. Is that can you create
అను
a container
అను
using an
8
ARM
అయింది
template?
టైం.
Guys, please stay on mute. I know the time is 8. Okay, so these jokes apart. So coming back, so the assignment that I want you all to give, and that's something that we want to discuss out here is this: create a storage account using ARM template with, let's say, a single container in it. How do you go? Where do you go? Just go to the ARM template documentations, or just say create a container using ARM template storage container. Just put it as storage container out here. Storage container using ARM. It'll take you to Microsoft documentations out here, giving you the JSON syntax of it on how do you go ahead create a particular container. This is what I want you all to look at. That how exactly that you can create a container out here, how you can call this particular service, how you can do that. This is something that I want you all to think about. If you are able to do that, can you create a storage account with multiple containers inside it? If you are able to do this, can you say multiple storage accounts with multiple containers? Now, these are the two things that I want you all to focus upon. If you are successful with these two, you can, let's say, go ahead into this one and try to, let's say, create this out. So again, very importantly, please try out these assignments. The reason that I'm telling is that, see, it'll be very passive if I tell you how to create it and you go ahead and, let's say, try this out. Because in a real time scenario, sometimes you might encounter something that you have never done in your life. So you need to very importantly understand how can I Google it? How can I get that from, let's say, from Google, and where, what is the source of documentation out here, and how can I fix those errors? And these assignments will help you prepare with the same thing out there. So please try this out. Let me know what is the challenges that you face. I'll also discuss about my approach on how do I go ahead and do this. First, I want you all to try. It's okay if you fail, not a problem. It's okay if you are not able to create it. No problem. Just try it out. You have Saturday and Sunday. Try this out. Let me know what is the issue that you get there. And again, I'll be available over the email either on a Saturday or on a Sunday. You can definitely go ahead and send me across an email out there if you get any error. I'll help you out with that. Yes. Any questions? Any more questions here?
Hi, Kiran.
Just a second. I'll come back. Yes. Go ahead, please.
Uh, how to add bulk of people users to our Azure portal using
Bulk using. Sorry. Can you come again?
PowerShell script and ARM?
Again, for PowerShell, you have to, let's say, look at something called new hyphen az role assignment. This is something that I think I told you that how do you go ahead and, let's say, do a role assignment out here. If you want to add bulk of users, you have to do something called for each loop on top of this and go ahead and add bulk of users out there, or simply go into the portal. The easiest way to do this is, let's say, users.
Yeah, I know this.
You
I
know this,
already.
right?
Yeah.
Yes, you already did this. Then
Okay.
try doing this out here. Try to do
Okay.
a for each loop out here and try to, let's say, add a bulk of users into your Azure portal as such.
Okay.
Again, the reason that I'm not taking a lecture
Through
on top of this is
ARM templates.
through ARM template also you can do it. Role assignment ARM template. Let's say role assignment Azure ARM templates. Just scroll down, you'll get the object ID and all that stuff. And this is your template out here, which is Microsoft.authorization forward slash role assignments, role definition, and the role principal ID. Your principal ID out here. You can have the copy index on top of it, and you can add multiple roles out here doing this particular loop out there. So
Okay.
you can
Thank you.
do this one out. Now, the reason that I'm not going inside this is the reason being this is a pure administrative topic. So I won't be able to again, cover a lot of administration out there. This is something that falls purely into administration. So if I end up covering this out, right, then we'll have very less time for DevOps out there. So I'll have to
Okay.
balance both of them. So that's the reason I'm not going inside the user edition a lot out there.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. So someone else had a question offline. Sorry, deleting storage account using ARM. Now ARM. Sorry, coming in, please. Can we? Yes, you can do it in ARM template also. For which you need to understand the mode of ARM template deployment, which I'll talk about. So you can do that. I'll also give you a demo on how to do that when the time comes, and also tell you how to delete resources and all these things. All right. So one question that I have for you all is this. See, I have a tenant, I have a subscription. Good enough. I create a resource group under this, and after creating a resource group, I am creating storage accounts until now, right? I just go ahead create a storage account out here. After creating a storage account, in order to store my data, what should I do? Create a container. Exactly. Yes, I'll go ahead create a container out there. So I'll go ahead create a storage container service inside that particular storage account. And as you all know, you can have multiple storage containers out here. You can have multiple storage containers, and you can go ahead and upload your blobs. Uploading blobs out here. Again, as you see, we can create all these things using PowerShell ARM, and you can also go ahead upload your blobs using PowerShell out there. You can go ahead, let's say, upload multiple blobs using PowerShell script out here, and etc. The question here is that let's say you have a developer, okay, in your organization. This developer wants access to this particular storage account and the data inside that particular storage account. Let's say I would say a limited access. How do you give the same? Using what do you give the same? Sorry, control
Arbit.
access, IAM, identity access management, or access control. You can do that. You can add the user. Now my thing is that this is an external user. He's an external user. He's not my company user out there. He's an external user that I have hired. I don't want him to add, or I don't want you to add him into my Azure portal, into my Azure tenant. I don't want you to, let's say, give him any access. But he still wants to, let's say, go and read that particular storage data. Access keys. But now the point here is what? Limited access. Then what kind of, let's say, authentication that you do here? Or what kind of authorization that you follow? Access keys, if I go and give the access key, he'll have unlimited access.
SAS.
Sorry?
SAS token.
SAS. SAS token. Exactly. SAS token. So if you create a storage account, you can have a SAS token generated. You can say that this SAS token is valid for 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. and all that stuff, and you can send the SAS token across. When I'm talking about limited access out here, let's say this user now tells that okay, fine, you know what, I need unlimited access, meaning I also need to delete something and all that stuff. I'll say okay, fine. If you want unlimited access, then this SAS token, instead of SAS token, I'll give the access keys. Let's say you have given someone a SAS token or an access key. You're given a particular developer a SAS token or access key. The very next day, the developer leaves the organization with that particular access key. Now, what do you do in order to revoke his access? Rotate. Yes, good option. You can go
Yes.
ahead, rotate these particular keys. So let's go ahead, create a storage account real quick, and we'll discuss about these concepts while the storage account is getting created. I'll say this is test. storage resource group. This is demo storage abc000 hope the name exists. It is ECS2 out here. I'll say it is LRS. So I'm going with all the basic features out here, going ahead and reviewing creating this out. So I'm creating a basic storage account. I'll create a basic container inside the storage account, upload some blobs out here, and let's discuss about the probable ways to secure the storage account. This is what I'm now coming down to, is the security in the cloud. That how do you secure things out? Because still now we haven't, let's say, covered this concept out here. So yes, I have sent the access keys across, and I'm now coming to you. You're my manager, and I'm telling you know what, I gave the access key to a particular, let's say, developer, and that particular developer left the organization out there. So what do you want me to do? You're as my manager, you're telling me go ahead, rotate that particular key. And what happens when you rotate a key? A new key gets generated, and whoever is using this particular old key will no longer have the access. Now I am okay. Now, okay, fine. I'll just take a step back, and now I'm telling not only this developer, other developers who were still a part of your organization were using the old keys. Even they lose this. All the developers who are, let's say, using that particular old key also lose the same access. I need to send out an email across to all my developers sitting in different countries telling that, you know what, I have rotated this particular key. Please use a new key right now. This is the first issue, which is okay with me. Meaning, if a developer loses an access for a couple of hours, I'm okay with that. I can go ahead reset that particular key and all these things. But let's do one more thing. See, apart from a developer, there is also someone called as an application who's reading that particular data. Let's say this storage account is for an organization called ICICI, and ICICI is storing all their customer transaction data inside this particular storage account service, inside the container service out here. And whenever you go ahead and click on, let's say, get your all your transaction statements, this application is simply going inside this container, and this application code has the access key. Even if the application code needs to use it, the application code needs to have some kind of a key out here, either a SAS key or an access key or something like that. So what did you do is that you gave a developer the access key, and the developer went ahead and he put the access key inside the application, inside the code of this particular application out here. So when the application is starting up, the application using this particular access key is going into your storage service, and it's taking all the blob and giving it to you in the form of, let's say, your transaction statements, like a PDF statement and all that stuff. Now, because you rotated the key, because this developer left the organization, you rotated the key, this application will also lose the access. The application who's using the old key will also lose the access out here. If the application loses the access, all the users, I'm talking about your actual users, your actual customers who are using this particular application, and if you are a customer, you're trying to, let's say, download the statement for that particular day, it's very important for you, you get a simple error telling that the statement cannot be downloaded because the key has been rotated. You do not know that. You as a user, you do not know that. All you do, call the customer care telling that, you know what, I cannot go ahead and download this. Even the customer care cannot help you out because even they use the application from the back end and go ahead and download all the statements. Now imagine how big of an issue this is. Do you think this is a big issue? This is really a very big issue because customers around the world who are using this particular application are now not able to download that particular statements out here because a developer left from your organization. You rotated it. What you have to do right now is come down here, change the access key, restart this application. The world is back again. Meaning you put a new key out there into that particular application, give a new key to that particular application, good enough. Now what happened is that you generated a new key, fine. You took a downtime. There are 10 minutes, application was down, a lot of, let's say, issue happened, not a problem. Your organization says okay. It's a first mistake, not a problem, not we'll rectify it later. You generated a new access key and you now give this access key to a different developer. What if that developer leaves the organization? You again have to rotate the key because as a security concern, you as a developer, if you leave my organization, you cannot have access to my storage account. Very simple. Why do you need access to your storage account when you're not working for that particular organization? Because this is very dangerous, right? Imagine someone having access to your, let's say, banking account details, and that person is not even working in this particular organization out here, right? Now, the question is that then should I ask my developer not to leave the organization? I cannot do that because that's not in my control at all. Okay, option two is that if the developer leaves the organization, can I say, okay, fine, let the developer leave the organization? He's a good developer, he won't use my access keys, and can I not rotate it? And that's an option because you never know what the developer will do with that particular, let's say, access key out here. Now, then I'm now stuck into a phase, I'm now stuck into, let's say, a dilemma that I cannot ask my developer to tell, what, stay for an entire lifetime because this is something security and all. The developer will simply say, what, I give a damn. I'll just leave the organization out here. Neither can I stop my key rotations. I cannot go ahead and say, okay, fine, a developer has left the organization, but I still won't go ahead and rotate the key. I cannot say this. Now, then, what do you think can be an option out here? What do you think will be an option out here? How can you enhance the security of this particular architecture that I'm using right now? Because there are a lot of consumers of my storage account. There is one application called ICICI who's listening to one container. You might be in a multi, let's say, client model where you are supporting ICICI Uber parallelly. Uber might be, let's say, listening from another storage account from another container, right? It can be that, let's say, it can be, let's say, multiple applications who are now listening to your container and multiple developers or multiple users inside your organizations who are using this particular access key out here. I can delete the user. Yes, I can do that. But you don't have to be a part of my organization to use my storage account if you have an access key. I can simply give you my access key. You can use a storage explorer service. Go there, put that access key, and use my account out there. So even if I delete you, there is nothing that, let's say, I am, hampering out there. You can still use the same thing out there. So anyone, what do you think that I can do out here?
Resource restriction.
Sorry, can you come again, please? Sorry, anyone? Let's think about this because this is an issue, right? Because until now we do not know this. We simply went ahead, created the storage accounts out there. We are happy till here with our lives, but now this is an issue. This will become an issue, and this will also become an interview question tomorrow. That how are you enhancing your security of your storage account? Like, what kind of security measures are you taking to, let's say, put your storage account? Because as a DevOps engineer of your organization, you're also, let's say, responsible to take care of the security of the organization as well. So then, what do
There
you
is
think?
secondary
Hmm?
access keys.
Secondary access keys, yes, there is secondary access keys. But what if you have given both the primary and the secondary access keys to the developers? You have to rotate both the things out here. So if you look at this one, I have a primary, I have a key two also. What if I gave key one to someone, you gave key two to someone else? That's possible, right? I cannot control which key my DevOps engineers are actually handing out to my developers out there. It could be a mistake. These are all human errors that I cannot, let's say, validate it out for out there.
Any common place is there to store the keys, so that common from that common place every application will use.
You can, that's definitely a good point. Now there is a service in Azure called as a key vault. You can store that particular keys in a common place, but every time I rotate it, I have to change that key in the common place, and I have to
Yes.
restart all my applications that are using it. Because normally how an application works is that the access keys is embedded inside a code, and when the application starts up, it will cache all the data. And if I have to, let's say, clear off that cache, I'll have to restart the entire service. So I'll still have a downtime. Sorry.
Okay.
Log. What do you say log when you say log? Can you please come again, please? What is logged user again? Block the user. How do you block the user? Yes, good point. Block the user. Point here is block the user, but how do you block the user? No, portal you cannot have any control on the locks. There is no lock per a particular user. Even though if you had a lock, let's say in a given month, there are about 1,000 developers who are leaving the organization. How do you log all those 1,000 developers out there? It will become very difficult, right? Because see, the point here that I'm trying to emphasize on is this one: is that I don't have a control on which developer is leaving my organization. I may not even know the developer who left the organization out there, but that developer might still have that particular access key, right? So I don't know because my organization doesn't notify me when a developer leaves the organization. It's very difficult to have that particular control. Yes, any more, let's say, inputs here? Now, what I'm sliding down towards is that can I give the access to specific users? When I say specific users, each and every developer will have his or her own machine, meaning I as a developer I'm using my own laptop, right? I need to be connected to an internet to use your storage account service. If there is no internet, forget about even connecting to my Azure because it is connected over the internet, right? So this is the idea, is that each and every developer will have his or own machine, is his or her own laptop or desktop, whatever they are using. So I'll put some machines out here beside the developers. Let me get these machines out here and let me expand the screen slightly a little bit. So each and every developer is using their own machine out here, and each and every developer is connected to the internet. Let's say all these developers are working from home because right now everyone is working from work from home is a very common scenario. So each and every developer is connected to the internet, and whenever you get connected to the internet, your machine gets allocated with something known as a public IP. Now this is my IP address out here. If I just go here inside this one, there is something called IPv4, IPv6. We'll talk about that. But this is my public IP. If you go ahead, switch on your laptop, connect to the internet, you will have a different public IP out here. Like the same way, each and every developer will have his or her own IP address. Here you have IP, here you let's say have an IP address. Each and every IP address will be and can be different. This is the IP. Now, can I somehow tell that developers working only from this particular IP addresses, IP1, IP2, and IP3, only they are allowed to talk to the storage account? If I can do that, then you as a developer, if you let's say leave my organization, you won't have the laptop anyways. See, you won't be able to carry the same laptop out there. So which means you won't have the same IP address, which means that I'm winning the battle here. At least if you leave the organization. So can I do that in a storage service? Yes, I can do that. I can come under something called security and networking, and there is something called as a network layer on a storage account out here telling you who can access, who cannot access out here. By default, it is enabled from all the networks. It's telling the storage service is now enabled from all the networks out here. You can access the storage account from literally anywhere. I'm saying no, that is now not how I need it. Guys, can you please stay on mute? I'm getting a little bit of disturbance online. Now, I am saying this is not how it looks like. This shouldn't, let's say, be how it looks like. I want to enable from selected virtual networks. We'll talk about what virtual networks are and IP addresses. And now I'll say I'm the only one who's using this service, and I'll say add your client IP, and I'll say save. So what am I doing is that I am enabling the access to this particular storage account. I'm telling who all can talk to this particular storage account, and I'm telling there are few certain IP addresses. So a user for me is nothing but an IP address. A developer for me is nothing but an IP address out here. There are a few IP addresses who can talk to this particular service called as a storage account service out here. Let's come back there and let's see what it did. It added my IP in this particular firewall. It's called a firewall out here. It's telling add IP ranges to allow access from the internet on your on-premise networks and all these things out here. Great, not a problem. So I do have the access and I can go ahead, create a container and all that stuff. So let me do that. Let me create a container. So I'll say this is a container and I'll go ahead, let's say upload all the data inside the container. So some random data, I'll go ahead and upload this out. So I have all the JSON files, right? Even unstructured data, upload this out into the container and I'll store this inside this particular container. I am able to do this because I am allowed or my IP address is allowed to talk to this particular storage account. Now, even if I give someone this particular key, I can simply go ahead share this key with you. You can simply not access my data. You will simply get an error. Reason being, the IP address what I am using cannot be the same IP address what you are using out here. Does this work? At least 50% it works, that you are blocking or you are letting which user kind of have the access out here. But does anyone see an issue with this? Does anyone see an issue with this model of operation?
He
Good
cannot
question. How
open
many?
with the same laptop.
Just a second. I'll just come back to that. Yes. How many IPs that you can add? Good question. A maximum of 100. A maximum of 100. Meaning at a time you can only add 100 users into this particular thing. What if you have 10,000? You cannot do that. Yes. Yes. Someone online was telling something. Can you please go ahead now, please?
Outside organization guy cannot use this laptop only, right? He can access that with any other laptops, any other systems also, right? With the SAS
Right.
token.
He can, but will he get the same IP address if he goes to a different laptop? Probably not. If he doesn't, then even if he has a SAS token, even if he has an access key, reason I can give you this access key. You can try this out. I can just simply copy this out, send it across to you in the group chat. Anyone can try this out. You can use the storage explorer if you have, and you can try connecting to it. You'll simply get an error. I'll show you how the error gets. For example, this is the IP address that I am on, right? Let's say I change this IP address. Let's say I put a wrong IP address out here. This is not my IP. I put a wrong IP address. Let's say this is your IP address. Someone who's online, this is your IP address out here. I'll save this out. This is done. I'll go into the containers. I'll try to look at the data of the data of the container. Getting this error? You can look at the container, not a problem. But with the container, you cannot do anything. You need the actual data, and you see what is it telling you? And just scroll down. What is it telling you?
Not authorized to perform the operations.
Networking is blocking your connection, meaning you as a user are trying to talk to this particular storage account, but your IP is not allowed because I changed my IP address, right? Your IP is not allowed. So you are not authorized for this particular connection. Very simply, it will throw this particular error even if you use a storage explorer, even if you use PowerShell, wherever you are from, it will hit this particular error. You will hit this particular